The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast, airways feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the V-Raw Podcast, and to Kate, the lovely Duchess of New Jersey. Sorry, I fucked up last week. Said New York. Honestly, it was late. I was tired, and I honestly believe Escape from New York lives in the back of my brain, and we've got the Duke of New York will always be in the back of my mind, so I think it was just a natural progression. I apologize, Kate. I didn't mean to insinuate that you live in New York. You deserve better. So anyway, we're going to get into it. Anyone who's been listening to the show for any amount of time knows I'm a bit of a misanthrope. Yeah, there's your word of the day, calendar word for the episode. I'm misanthrope. I have misanthropic tendencies. I don't like fucking people. That's what it boils down to. I mean, I like people on an individual basis. I like you, as for most of the listeners that have taken the time out of their lives to get to know me and interact with me a little bit, I like people in that respect just fine. But people as a whole, people as an entity, no, fuck people. So nothing really triggers up my misanthropic tendencies quite as hard as like internet trends. When TikTok was becoming a thing and my old man get off my lawn yelling at clouds moment was like, this is fucking stupid. Who watches 30-second videos? Who gets behind this horse shit? I mean, I thought it was stupid. Partly because I thought it was a dumb medium. Now, as I've gotten more heavily into... I mean, honestly, I was very much... Even though I was on the front edge of social media, like going all the way back to the early, BBS chat rooms in the late 90s, I've never really been a huge fan of the mainstream acceptance of social media, and I've seen it as detrimental to society, and I've talked about this before. So it's not like this is a surprising new stance. I think social media is... put into children's lives way too young. It impacts them and gives them an unrealistic idea of how the world works. And unfortunately, even with older people and up to and including adults that should fucking know better, they apparently lose all critical thinking capabilities when social media is introduced into the equation and they turn into fucking retards. So I was very hesitant with all the different social media platforms. Like when MySpace came out, I was like, okay, this is kind of neat. It lets me connect with people I haven't seen in forever. But I didn't take it too seriously. And then, Facebook came along. And I had a Facebook from, like, the early days when you still needed an EDU address to get a Facebook account. I had one because I was working at a college. I was changing what college I was working at. And a bunch of the kids wanted to keep in touch with me when I left the campus, which was really nice and flattering in a lot of ways. So I was like, okay, sure, guys, I'll set up this Facebook thingy. And so I've had one for, like, ever, basically. But anyway, the point of this is, so my initial trepidation towards social media and society has done nothing but prove me right. I mean, not that I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not some genius. I think I'm smarter than a lot of motherfuckers. I'm definitely smarter than the average person because when you got to remember, when you're talking about the average person, that means half the country's stupider than that. And I definitely believe I'm smarter than the average motherfucker. But one of the things I saw as an issue with social media, particularly as it became more intertwined into children's lives, was the fact that it kind of encourages groupthink. It encourages hive behavior in a lot of ways, shapes, and forms. Not only are you dealing with children who don't really have the capacity to understand that this is not real life that they're looking at. It is polished, edited, and refined for their consumption. But you get these dumb motherfuckers who think something's a good fucking idea. And it started happening, back in the mid 2000s, like 2010, 2011-ish, where you'd start seeing things that are trending. I mean, it's not the same as trending now, where trending's just, whatever the buzz is. But I mean, where they would start coming up with these stupid trends. And they had things, they had planking, where it's just, here, I'm going to go somewhere, lay down, and have a friend take a picture of it, and then I'm going to put it on the internet, because isn't that funny? And there's like the Harlem Shake trend and all these stupid fucking things that people got on board with and jumped on board with some of just the most retardedest shit I have ever fucking dealt with in my entire 47 years on this fucking planet. Well, 46.75 or whatever, I'm almost 40. I'll be 47 this summer. But I digress. That's not the point. The point is, seeing these things really made me start thinking, again, hive mind, groupthink, weak-minded motherfuckers, all the general complaints I've had about society since I was a teenager, and just wallowing in my own, self-impressment, where I was way too convinced I was more than I was at the time, where I wasn't alone in the matter. It's the self-righteousness of most teenagers is fucking ridiculously obnoxious, because I was at that point where I was convinced I was smarter than my parents, and you couldn't tell me shit, and I saw the world for the way it really worked, and yada, yada, yada. And the only thing that's really changed in the intervening 30 years is I understand that my parents knew a whole hell of a lot more than I gave them credit for. I still think I see shit the way it is, and a lot of people are fucking blind to the truth. That's never going to change, because I think the more I am around people, the less I like them in a lot of ways. And again, I'm not talking about individuals. I love having friends. I love interacting with people. I have the people that are important to me, and I would do anything for them. And that's not what I mean when I say I have a problem with people. I have a problem with people as a collective, because, again, when you start getting into groups, that's when groupthink takes over. That's when hive mind mentality takes over. That's when individual creativity goes somewhere to fucking die. That's when you get things like stupid-ass trends. Again, like I said, I don't know why the one sticks out to me, but planking, utterly fucking retarded. I never understood it. I mean, I've seen a few people that actually did it well, but for the most part, it was a lot of morons like, here, look at me, I'm laying down. And the ones that impressed me were the people that were like literally planking on shit where it actually took some developed muscle and self-control to do it, where they were on a pivot point that was the size of a fucking Coke can, keeping their entire body perfectly stiff and flat. That's impressive as shit just from a pure physicality standpoint. But when you get some dumb motherfucker that's laying face down on a fucking piece of cement that literally goes, a foot and a half past their body in each direction, completely supports their weight, and they're not actually doing anything besides laying there like a fucking lump of shit, who the fuck cares? What is impressive about that? It's nothing. You took something that was originally a kind of creative concept and a way to show, people were doing it to highlight their physicality, and you turned it into, I'm a fucking retard that laid down flat in front of something and had a friend of mine take a picture. Fuck you, you're a retard, you deserve to be smacked with something fucking unpleasant. But it hasn't gotten better in the intervening decade since these things started happening. I mean, between Vines and Reels and TikTok, and you started seeing the TikTok trends and the, kids coming up with stupid fucking challenges. The Tide Pod challenge, the fucking Mr. Bubble challenge, which I don't know how that became an internet thing. I don't know. I don't even know how popular that one was. The fact that it found its way into my social media feeds made me laugh, because frankly, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations has run out on this particular instance of hooliganism and vandalism. But when we were teenagers back in the day, one of the things was people would go throw Mr. Bubble in one of the fucking public fountains in Kenosha, and you'd throw like one bottle in there or one box. Actually, the powdered flakes worked way better for hooliganism and vandalism. And the churning motion of the fountain running would churn it up, and it would fill the entire park with bubbles all over the place. And, it's petty, stupid, really didn't do much other than putting a bunch of chemicals in the fucking lawn. And it was probably bad for any animals that used that fountain as a water source. But at the end of the day, it was, it was stupid, it was harmless. But that wound up, kids put fucking going out and Mr. Bubbling, or I don't know if they called it. They might have been using Dawn or something. I don't know if Mr. Bubble even still exists, but it was basically the same thing. People going to public fountains and pouring dish soap in it and making huge messes of foam. And I was like, okay, I mean, as an adult looking back, yeah, it's kind of asinine, but they're not hurting anybody, but it's kind of stupid. But then it progressed into more and more things where I see these arrogant, shit-stained little teenagers and people in their 20s doing shit that is not only not entertaining, not original, not valuable, but is flat-out antisocial, and they seem to think that their justification for what it is, well, it's just a prank, bro, or it's just a video, bro, and you know, for a while, people were watching these videos, and internet pranksters and internet video motherfuckers were they were picking up followings, and they were getting views and clicks, particularly on TikTok, which amplified these stupid shenanigans and made it fucking worse. Where you get idiots like that fuck-stained Johnny Somali, whose entire thing is being a social media personality, going around the country making Americans look bad by being an obnoxious fuckwaffle everywhere he fucking goes. And then he got knocked the fuck out by somebody in Korea that wasn't putting up with his shit. And I was like, all right, South Korean Marine knocks out retarded-ass influencer. Fantastic. Huge amount of people. The fact that I know who this prick is just hurts my soul in a lot of very real ways. But the fact that he got knocked out by a fucking Special Forces South Korean soldier was, mainline that shit right into my veins. It was phenomenal. I loved it. He finally got what he had coming. Consequences coming knocking, because he was being a disrespectful piece of shit and just, harassing people and ignoring the local culture and local customs and making Americans look like assholes. And then the poor Special Forces guy got fined like $7,000 by the government, which was absolute horseshit, for assaulting a fucking public nuisance, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he did something a lot of us would have paid to do. And frankly, since the internet remains undefeated, they began crowdfunding these finances for his fine almost immediately. They raised like $3,000, and then a guy who actually does one of the social media for good types, part of the Unsub crew, and the guy who does social media, a guy named Donut Operator, came through and cut a check for the other $4,000. Like, here you go, bro. Good for you. And so, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. But that's not the point. The point is, you get these fucking retards, and they start doing these stupid fucking trends. And I'm saying really heavy air quotes when I say trends. It's fucking stupidity. It's antisocial behavior. It's fucking ignorance for likes and clicks. And it's an entire generation that doesn't have any concept of consequences for their actions, because they bought into this hype for the social media fed them that this thing is okay if you're doing it because it's what's popular on your Reels feed right now, or it's what's popular on your TikTok feed. This is what everybody is doing, so you should do it too, because then you'll be part of the group and you'll be in on the joke and you'll be okay. And there won't be any consequences, because you never see any consequences in these videos. And so it becomes the group mind going, okay, well, this is what we do now. This is funny. I'm going to have likes and clicks and followers because I'm going to do the funny, and people will think I'm funny too. Now, again, that completely forgoes the concepts of like originality or creativity or doing something unique or special or worthy of fucking attention. And I've lost track of how many times I've complained about this, but it is the same shit. This is the hot new thing, and I'm on board with it. Look how cool I am. I'm part of the group. I'm part of the hive. I'm part of the crew. I'm funny. I'm unique. Tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm special. Don't come in my mouth and don't get any in my hair. I love you long time. Wow, that derailed. But the point is, I can't stand these motherfuckers that do this dumb shit. And you see things where consequences actually do happen. Like, there was a group of kids that went and they claimed they were doing a ding-dong ditch prank at a guy's house at 3 a.m., and he shot the fucking kid. And he dumped at him because, according to him, it sounded like somebody was trying to break into his house. And they were saying, oh, well, no, we were filming a prank. We were ding-dong ditching, like we were making a TikTok reel. And these assholes said this thing without the slightest sense of irony, thinking that somehow justifies what they did and put him in the wrong. So now the point of this is, this situation again. Like I said, these fucking retards. Whether this was actually what was happening or not, because there has not been a single instance of footage proving this is what these kids were doing. But there were 3 teenagers in, let's see, where was that? Now I want to look it up. In Virginia, that were at 3 a.m. Now, the kid who got shot and killed was 18. The other 2, I think, were 17, 18. That same general, like they're, high school kids. So they're out 3 a.m. They're claiming it was a TikTok door ringing prank where they went to this guy's house and they were in his backyard at the door trying to ring, like, ding dong ditch. And now for those of you that live under a fucking rock, I know most of my listeners are like Gen Xers or boomers, and you guys know how ding dong ditch works. You go up, you ring the doorbell, you run away, you hide in the bushes, you watch them come out on the porch. That's not what these fucking kids have been doing in this trend, which makes me, and like I said, we have yet to see any footage validating that all they did was ring the doorbell. But what a lot of these idiots on TikTok are doing are coming up and like donkey kicking the fucking door, making it sound like somebody's trying to break in. Well, they did that to this guy's house, and the guy they did to was like, I think he was 27, 28, something like that. A grown-ass man. And they're beating on the door. Yeah, 27 years old. And he thought somebody was trying to break into his home at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he fucking opened up fire. He dumped on these motherfuckers. And the teenagers, the ones that lived, because like I said, they're, again, 3 a.m., beating on this guy's door, and they were running to hide when he shot at them. Now, they said, well, we have video of us doing this prank earlier in the day. They don't actually, they have, to the best of my knowledge, have not provided any video of them actually doing the one that wound up in them getting shot. But they have a video they recorded of them doing it at someone else's house earlier in the day. And that's their proof that they didn't do what this guy said, which was try and kick his fucking door in, and wound up getting shot at. Now, the guy who shot at these kids is being held without bail in jail. And like I said, I know if you come beating on my door at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're getting shot. It's a non-zero possibility that you are going to wind up pulling the lead out of your ass. Now, I'm inclined to be a little more, I'm more likely to shoot you with birdshot for the first couple rounds to get my point across. But at the end of the day, you're getting fucking shot if you come try and kick my door in at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. And again, I wasn't there. I don't know all the details. This is, loose recollection and a very poorly written, extremely biased article that is trying to paint these fucking kids like these poor little choir boys that didn't do nothing wrong other than being out having some good, clean fun at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. And I know, yes, there's like 17 and 18 and they're almost grown-ups, but 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, no good happens at a stranger's fucking house in a neighborhood you have no business being in. And it just infuriates me. And again, no even remote impression of anybody saying, well, yeah, these kids shouldn't have been out fucking doing that. Nobody calling out toxic and retarded trends online saying, well, this shit's stupid and it's going to get somebody fucking shot. Anybody that's ever lived in a questionable fucking neighborhood can tell you, you don't pull that kind of shit. You don't go out at 3 o'clock in the morning, period. I mean, but you don't go up to random strangers' houses beating on their fucking doors at 3 o'clock in the morning unless there's a fucking emergency. You don't do it for clicks. You don't do it for likes. You don't do it as a fucking prank unless you want to take the chance of getting fucking shot. You want to prank somebody, go prank your fucking friend's parents that you know aren't going to shoot you. Don't be fucking stupid. But, that seems to be what the internet is for these days, is being fucking stupid and being sanctimonious and self-righteous and never taking responsibility for anything you do or never accepting the consequences of any of your fucking actions. Which brings me to something else that happened over the weekend. The mayor of New Jersey, of Newark, New Jersey, got arrested for storming an ICE detention facility in New Jersey. Now, I'm not the best one to speak on this. I'm not super familiar with New Jersey. I've been there like twice in my life, and it was both times we're just passing through. But the long and the short of it is, several Democratic individuals were out there outside an ICE detention facility, like a couple state senators and the fucking mayor of Newark, and they are literally on camera trying to storm the gate, assaulting ICE employees and assaulting ICE officers. The mayor was detained and arrested because you can watch the video and see it happen. A bus rolls up full of fucking detainees. The gate trundles open for the bus to come in so the detainees can be processed. And these sanctimonious, self-righteous assholes with no idea of anything other than the fact that they think they are somehow ordained to do as they see fit, because they're all thinking we're coming back. They're all the main character. Nothing bad will happen to them because they're acting righteously. And they tried to get into a federal facility that they did not have any authorization to be in after being told to fuck off. Now, there were two women that were state senators, I believe, and then the mayor. The mayor was arrested and detained. Both women actually were swinging at agents, too. And the fact that they weren't arrested or censured or kicked out of the fucking Congress really kind of bothers me. But that's a story for another day. They are already sitting there trying to say, that's not what happened. We didn't assault anyone. We didn't do anything. Despite the fact that there's multiple cell phone videos of this incident happening from people that think they were live streaming or recording these videos because they think they were protesters. They're there on the good guy's side, so they have to prove that they're there for the good side. Literally shows these people violating the law, committing assault, trespassing, all sorts of fun shit. The senator lady's argument is that, well, they have a right to oversight, and they cited a certain law. Now, what they didn't tell you is the very next line of the law after the part they said they were required to give 24 hours notice with certain federal facilities, including criminal detention centers, that they did not do. So they were not actually performing their duties. They're trying to claim they were acting on behalf of their constituents and doing the job they were voted in to do, none of which is true because that's not what they were doing. It's really none of their fucking business to interfere with these things, but they want to try and claim self-righteousness. But even if they were there performing the duties that they were elected to do and provide oversight to this extent, that does not excuse assault, which literally every one of these fucking yammering assholes is guilty of. And that's it's not a TikTok trend, it's not a YouTube thing, but it is a lack of accountability, a lack of responsibility, and a bunch of people saying, oh, well, that's not what happened because we said it's not what happened and we weren't wrong. Our behavior wasn't wrong, even though we're violating basic tenets of fucking adulthood by not assaulting people. And they have literally come out and said, well, anything you see in terms of body cam other than this, that, and the other is manufactured footage to make us look bad. No, you simple-minded fucks. Your behavior makes you look bad. Your actions make you look bad. Your stupidity makes you look bad. Your lack of responsibility makes you look bad. You are a pathetic, incompetent sacks of shit trying to blame everything on racism, white people bad, and every other yammering leftist talking point that exists. And frankly, it's just pathetic. And it's again, these people have gotten so used to being able to behave without consequences that when there are consequences, they feel like they're somehow being unfairly prosecuted. They're unfairly persecuted. They're being unfairly shit upon by society because the consequences of their own actions have come to bite them in the ass, but they're not supposed to because, oh no, we're the good guys and consequences don't happen to us. And it's just this weak-minded mentality. And we have all these political figures. We can't believe you arrested the mayor. It's the same people that are out here bitching and moaning about judges getting arrested for violating the law. Political positions do not place you above reproach. They do not make you inherently right in all you say and do. You are still subject to the laws of the land and the rules that we are all bound by. If anything, you should be held to a higher standard, not allowed to get away with anything just because you're fucking you. But these smooth-brained fucks don't understand that. These slack-jawed retards just all think they're special and think there are no consequences because they are important and they got themselves into this position and they should be able to do whatever they think is right because they're somehow better than the average person, where the rules and the laws and the standards of society don't fucking apply to them. And it's actually really refreshing to see. I mean, I'm not seeing it nearly as much as I would like, but it's really refreshing to see that point starting to be made. And that makes me fucking happy. I hope they throw the book at the fucking mayor of Newark. I hope they fucking come after these senator cunts and they're fucking both removed from whatever house they're in. I don't know, House, Senate. I don't know who they are. I haven't done enough research into it, to be completely honest, to be speaking with any authority. But I hope whoever the Republican fucking majority leader in whichever house they're in, because if they're federal Senate people or federal Congress people, that means right now they're under a GOP majority. I hope they actually pull their thumbs out of their ass, censure these motherfuckers, and get them out. Start showing that there are consequences for breaking the fucking rules. This moral high ground bullshit that the GOP seems to be determined to play by is a losing strategy. Last week I talked about losers don't get to make the rules. That also applies to not having a loser fucking mentality when you're in a position that you won. Start fucking acting like it. Remind these motherfuckers that they're not special. They're not above the law. They're not above fucking reproach. They are subject to the same fucking rules and regulations as everybody else. That's what you need to do if you want to hold that majority of Republicans. That's what you need to do if you don't want to lose the support of the population, because the populist movement is what put this shit in place. And that, if you don't fucking start sticking to your guns, you will all be fucking replaced. Or they'll lose the House and the Senate and the Dems will take over again and nothing will get done and the world will go to shit. It's just some morose fucking thoughts there. But anyway, so there's that. It's been going on. It's percolating and rolling around in my brain. And it's, like I said, it's not just teenagers. It's not just young adults. It's not just people that have spent their entire formative years suckling at the teat of social media and are subsequently much more susceptible to this groupthink horseshit trending bullshit. But geriatric fucking government career parasites also are subject to not having anything resembling a handshake relationship with reality, because they also fall into this groupthink thing of, well, we're special. We can do whatever we want. We don't have to follow by the rules because no consequences will bite us in the ass because we are the elite. So fuck them too. Now, speaking of trending topics and conversations and things on the internet, there's one other thing that's been going around in the last week or two that I want to briefly touch on, and there's been this thing floating around, and I don't know where the concept started. I don't know where the idea came along at first, but they were talking about what's your opinion and justify your answer. And it's one of those like mental thought exercises to a certain extent, but it's such a stupid premise, and it's who would win in a fight, one silverback gorilla or 100 men? And I've seen answers going both ways. I've talked about it a little bit myself, and I'm going to go a little bit more into what I think about it right now because I want to talk about it, because I want to get this off my chest. And people that know more than me about the physiology and the behavior patterns of animals have made videos explaining their stances on things. And people who I respect their opinions on things about animals have basically said, first off, conflict isn't like kind of antithetical to gorilla nature. They're not going to just get into a fight. They will, defend themselves when provoked. They are significantly stronger than a man. They have that like 1,000-pound bite force, and they can throw a punch and knock you across the room and 12 other motherfuckers and hit you hard enough to liquidate your internals and all this other shit. And basically, big silverback gorillas, big, strong, 500 pounds of fucking bad attitude and solid muscle in a fur blanket. They have thicker, heavier duty skin that, human teeth aren't going to rend. Human claws, our little pathetic ass fingernails, aren't going to gouge, so they can bite us and cut us and tear us apart and pull our arms off and beat us to death. But they only have so much staying power. Gorillas are made for a quick, hard fight. They're not made for, gorilla on gorilla combat is not a long, drawn-out conflict. It is over fast. They really don't have the stamina to keep going in these circumstances. So, theoretically, assuming that you remove from if you're going to remove the gorilla's naturally non-aggressive nature from this conversation, you also are going to have to remove the cowardice and self-preserving instincts of most men, because modern man, I really think, the first guy gets his head ripped off, the second guy gets his arm pulled out. The average motherfucker is going to bolt. They're not going to stick around to be number 37 that gets pulled apart by the fucking gorilla so the last guy to go can still be standing when it's over. But that's the way it would last. The gorilla would wear itself out really fast, tearing people apart, and then the men would be able to overwhelm it, smother it, kill it, choke it out, gouge its eyes out, do all this other shit once it got itself tired, beating men to death. So from a logical standpoint, if you can remove the human frailty and self-preservation from the equation, the men would eventually be able to overwhelm the gorilla and kill it. Now, realistically, that's never going to fucking happen because, again, like I said, particularly in today's society, there was a time when our ancestors would go out and, go out as a group and hunt down animals that had numerous physical advantages over them by using their bigger brains and acting as a group with definitely less self-preservation instincts because they were out there to, provide for the entire tribe, not just keep themselves alive with a, purely selfish motive. So, our ancestors used to bring down woolly mammoths because they were fucking hungry. I mean, yes, they were using tools, which is technically outside the parameters of the fucking exercise here. But at the end of the day, there was a lot more bravery and a lot more, unification in thought and intent back then. But again, that's not the question. The question is 100 men versus a fucking gorilla. Who wins? Me being me with like I said, by the numbers, if you could get 100 fucking, Eddie Halls, world's strongest man type guys, they might be able to wear the gorilla down and, pin its limbs, and if they can keep away from its head while it's thrashing around, they might be able to subdue them. Because if you get 100, 300-pound guys that can lift 500 pounds apiece, there's a force multiplier in there. You get a bunch of those guys. But again, there's only so much room, too. So you got to, the weight to size, the strength to size ratio still favors the fucking gorilla because shy of getting like dogpiled and buried and compressed under a huge mound of man flesh, there's still going to be a lot of, damage done to the team men. And that's kind of my thought on it. And you've got people on both sides saying if you think the gorilla is going to win, you're fucking retarded. If you think men is going to win, you're fucking retarded. Silverbacks will rip everybody apart. Silverbacks have bite force. Silverbacks have strength. Silverbacks have this. They have that. And da-da-da-da. And it's one of those pointless futile exercises because no matter what you think, the odds that somebody's going to change your mind on the matter are very slim. But the thing about this is then that spirals off into a whole bunch of other things. And, the internet's going to internet. So you have 100 gorillas versus Chuck Norris. And that was good for a laugh. I saw that. That made me giggle. It was fantastic. I was okay with 100 gorillas versus, and somebody literally animated it. It was a funny little video floating around out there. But then in the whole, okay, and this is really more people's, again, something creative, something original, a fresh new thought. Some British guy comes on, records a TikTok, and he's like, all right, well, here's what I want to say. Never mind 100 men versus a gorilla, 100 British men versus 100 American men. And I've seen a ton of videos, and I've seen a few where it's Brits like, oh no, we're going to win. You're underestimating us. Da-da-da, crumpets, tea, blah, blah, blah. The overwhelming amount of videos I've seen, including a bunch of Brits saying this shit, is America is going to trounce the British. It's going to be a repeat of 1776, blah, 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 blah. I mean, a lot of rah-rah, America, hoorah. And then some people actually went into much deeper analytics of it, which really made me laugh. We had people out there putting out ratios, like we don't even need 100 to take out 100 Brits. We'll take, and that's, both sides are guilty of, stereotyping the other side in this conversation. But again, this is entertainment. It's funny in a lot of ways. But we have people like, oh, well, we don't even need 100 Americans. We'll send, 25 rednecks and 25 gangbangers and 5, this and like breaking it down by numbers. And so I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the matter too, because why the fuck not? And honestly, at the end of the day, I like I said, I saw a few videos like Brits trying to stand up. Oh, well, no, British people you're underestimating us and and the call outs. And again, people stitching, people doing, my response video to this response video to that response video, blah, 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 blah. And just compounding as social media does. But one of the things I saw was kind of funny where one of the Brits that was trying to justify, well, you don't understand how it is here in the UK, and we'll come over there and it's a fight. You don't get to bring your guns, so we're going to fuck you guys up because we have soccer hooligans. And I have yet to see, I'm sure somebody's probably already done this because I'm not going to do it. I don't do video responses. Maybe I should start doing videos. So maybe that's the way I get this shit to take off is start recording stuff. I still have to do that square tip stabby video, which is, I just keep not getting around to it. I don't know what. I don't want to edit video. That's what it boils down to. I don't want to take. I can record all this shit, but putting it together is going to suck, and I don't want to do it. Even though I said I would, and even though I spent the money to buy the square tip knives, and it's not like I'm rolling in the dough, but you know, it was enough. It was cheap enough where I could justify it for a laugh, and I've yet to do it, and I'm disappointed in myself. I failed you guys. But I digress. To the soccer hooligan video, not that you'll ever, in all likelihood, you'll never hear me say this unless I actually break down and record a fucking TikTok, which I've recorded like 3 since I set up my TikTok account like 5 years ago. But anyway, again, I'm getting sidetracked here. My answer to the guys is like, oh, well, we've got soccer hooligans. They fight for fun. Is, well, okay, I'll see your soccer hooligans and I'll raise you Florida man. That's all I need to say about that. But from a deeper analytical standpoint, which feels kind of ridiculous going into deeper analytics on a stupid internet argument, but for whatever reason, that's just what's been rolling around in my head for the last couple of days, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys, and maybe you can have some feedback and tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, fuck, prove me wrong. I say this on a regular basis. I never get anybody to engage to actually tell me I'm fucking wrong about stuff, because I'm always open to other people's opinions. I may not agree with them, but I'll hear them out. But the thing I think a lot of the fucking, like, not just the British guy who posed the original question, but a lot of the people who are out here are like, well, you know, England's got, you know, we've got bad neighborhoods and we've got this and we've got that. And it's like, that may be true. And there are hard-ass people in every country on the planet. I guarantee that. There are hard motherfuckers in different measures here and there and everywhere. But completely glancing over the whole fact that, like, British males have not done anything in the last 15, 20 years to strike fear in the hearts of Americans because they've let their country be overwhelmed by fucking fake refugees and it's becoming the next caliphate because they have knuckled under and bent over and taken it up the ass for all the fucking third world invaders that have, you know, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in the average British, the abilities of the average Brit to fucking inflict damage upon, you know, anybody. But you compound that by saying this. We have many, many states in America that are bigger than the entire country of Great Britain. And from a purely mathematical standpoint, the pool we have to draw our 100 from is so much deeper than the entire options for the entire country of the UK, of England, jolly old England. And that's, technically the video said England. It did not specify the UK. So that eliminates, you know, Wales and Scotland. And if we're going just purely England, the number is even that much smaller. It has dwindled down to, I think the ratio would be, I haven't really done the math. I want to say 50,000 to 1, something like that. I would have to look up the actual population of England. Or, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pause this recording for a second. Through the magic of editing. Okay, by the magic of the internet, the population of England as of 2022, which was the most recent census I could find, was 57,112,500 people. Now, for comparison, in the United States in 2022, the population was 333,287,557, for a ratio of 5.8356 to 1, just for the disparity in population between England and the United States. So that's really not a very fair pool. So let's just say, to be generous, we'll include the entire United Kingdom, which is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Brings the population up to 67,602,800, which brings the ratio down to 4.930 to 1. So functionally 5 people for every 1 person out of that pool. So when you have 5 times as many options for each entrant into the competition, you have a much deeper pool. And again, like I said, we have fucking Appalachian people who are all about brawling. We have fucking Florida man. We have meth heads. We have fucking crackheads. We have rednecks that go out and blow shit up for fun. We have people that go out and train fighting and grappling and jiu-jitsu and compete. And we have people that cage fight on the weekends. We have fucking hillbillies who have underground boxing clubs in their backyards. We have fucking juggalos. We have some of the most depraved motherfuckers on the planet walking the streets of the United States every day to tap into. So, yeah, I'm really not overly concerned about the fact that the UK has soccer hooligans. Because you know what? We got them too. Not as many, but they are here. We have rugby players. We have lacrosse players. We have fucking rednecks. I keep coming back to that. And honestly, speaking of rednecks, that's got me thinking of something that happened back when I was a youth, when I was a young man. This perfectly illustrates why I think America would simply mop the floor with the UK in a 100-on-100 street fight. When I was in my early 20s and I first moved to Illinois, I was working at a restaurant. I started out as a line cook, moved up to chef eventually, but that's besides the point. After I had been working there about 6 or 8 weeks, one of the busboys there came up to me and was like, "Hey, Aaron, what are you doing? You're a pretty big dude." And at the time, I was a pretty solid guy. I was in decent shape. I was, probably not maybe the best shape of my life, but pretty damn close at that point, where I was, fairly lean, and I was still like 300 pounds. And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm a big guy. What's going on?" He's like, "Well, hey, I got a bunch of friends. We got a little thing. You want to, come over?" And, this guy lived right down the street from the restaurant. I was like, "Hey, you should come over to our house. We got a thing going on. You should come meet the guys." And I don't know what I'm getting into. So I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And I go over to this guy's house, and him and a bunch of his buddies. And this is, you got to bear in mind, this was in like 2000. So we're coming off of like Fight Club was a thing. It was in the theaters. It was, oh my God, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Well, these guys had a basement fight club here in Joliet. And there was a whole bunch of these fucking hillbilly yaki doc yahoo motherfuckers, missing teeth, missing fucking, common sense, lazy-eyed, mouth-breathing, inbred-looking pieces of shit. And I'm saying that with, not necessarily, that was my first impression walking in. A bunch of these motherfuckers I was like, man, none of y'all motherfuckers graduated high school. And maybe I'm being a little unfair. Maybe I'm being a little biased. But these are a bunch of guys who were in the basement of a house they were renting, beating the shit out of each other for fun. Now, also, just, full disclosure, and to be fair, the first rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club. Well, Aaron is going to talk about it because it's been 20 years since I've seen most of these fucks. So I'm really not too concerned that they might get bent out of shape. And I'm not giving any details to name names or anything else, but yeah, so they're in there beating the hell out of each other, welcome to Fight Club. And one of the rules of Fight Club is if it's your first night, you got to fight. And I was not really going to have any of it, but a couple of his buddies were really into the whole concept of the movie. And I say movie because I guarantee not a fucking one of them read the book because reading weren't really high on their list of priorities. Every single one of them thought they were Tyler Durden. None of them fucking realized the entire message of the story. And if you read the book, it actually deviates from the movie a bit, and it kind of changes the whole message. But again, I digress. Fight Club, Chuck I can't say the guy's name. It's a good book. Look it up. Go read a book. But anyway, so yeah, they're like, "Hey, big guy, you can't leave. It's your first night. You got to fight." I'm like, you're saying first night like I'm ever going to come back to this retarded shit. But, I was also half a dozen beers deep and fucking 21 or 22 and 22. And, why the fuck not? So, yeah, and it's not like they had gloves. This was not a sparring match. This was on cardboard in some dude's basement. I mean, they were really trying to embrace the whole, like, you've never been in a real fight. You don't know yourself as a man, and durka, 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 and all the other horse shit from the movie. I'm really kind of surprised we haven't read anything about them blowing themselves up trying to make fucking soap. But, again, I digress. So, yeah, I got in their little cardboard ring. I duked it out with the guy for a few minutes. I got him to tap. It was not anything massive, and oh yeah, woo, and again, never fucking went back. So it also actually brings me to thinking that stupid trendy shit did exist before the internet was a real common thing, and that was one of those things, a viral trend thing from a movie, because a mainstream movie with, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, big name stars. Big concept. Got this concept out to a bunch of motherfuckers that otherwise never would have heard of it, and all decided to emulate it. And again, like I said, I had my reasons for why I went along with it. It's not necessarily something I probably should have done, but again, I was 22 and didn't have anything else going on in my life. Didn't know anybody in town. Why the hell not get in a fight? Sure. And so yeah, I did, and like I said, didn't go back. It was a one-off. It was no big deal. It was a story to tell 20 years later on a podcast. But even that kind of illustrates, the hive mind still exists. People still do dumb shit for dumb reasons. These guys happen to embrace it because they think that somehow made them more manly or more masculine. They weren't doing it for clicks or fame or anything else. They were doing it because they heard an idea that they liked and they decided to emulate it. And so I guess the fact that has been scaled way the fuck up by the existence of social media and the internet is, problematic to my way of thinking. But I guess for now, I'm out of steam, I'm out of gas, and that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.